You're listening to the Behind Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Expedition Roasters is the artisanal roaster of specialty Disney-inspired coffees. Why not brew some of the magic at your home? Some of our coffees include Skipper's Brew, Ghoulish Delight, Enchanted Tiki Coconut, Redhead Rum, and many other unique roasts. Our coffees are certified gluten and allergen-free and feature unique custom artwork by guest artists. Expedition Roasters offers an adventure in every bag. So start your adventure today by visiting us online at expeditionroasters.com. That's expeditionroasters.com. And Behind Ears listeners, be sure to take advantage of this exclusive offer and save 20% on your first purchase with code EARS20. That's EARS20 at expeditionroasters.com. Brew your happy place. Do you have a little one and don't want to bring your stroller from home? Have you destroyed a stroller in the past from all the wear and tear from a Disney vacation? Well, Kingdom Strollers is a great place to rent a great quality stroller at a reasonable price. Kingdom Strollers is a Disney-featured stroller provider, which means they will deliver it right to your resort, even if you're not there. Same thing for picking it up at the end of your trip. So if you're in need of an affordable stroller rental during your next Orlando trip, consider renting from a Disney-trusted stroller company. Visit kingdomstrollers.com for more information.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny, the man in the red, the man with the hat. That is Mr. Chris. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing really good. I mean, we had the first 70-degree day basically here in the Midwest, and oh my gosh, it was so wonderful. I just basically, took a little break outside today, and it was kind of funny because I thought, I'm going to get in trouble for doing this. Think people are going to think I'm slacking at work or whatever. Then I talked to my manager, and he, later on this afternoon, and he's like, I can hear like birds chirping and stuff like that. I'm like, are you sitting outside? He's like, yep, I sure am, because I guess down where he's at, he's. I know where he's at. I'm not going to mention where he's at, but he's down a lot further south, outside of Indiana. And I'm like, we all have the same idea. And tomorrow is supposed to be even a nicer day, and it's going to stink because I really would like to take tomorrow off just to enjoy the day. I cannot, but that's okay. Because right here, right now, we are here to give everybody the most awesome Disney related podcast that you can find on the air right now.
Yeah. All right, let's just jump into it. Oh, by the way, my family's going to something tomorrow. It's a Disney Junior thing. Mickey Mouse is going to be there, and like Doc McStuffins and everything. So I'll see if I can get some of those pictures and put it out. I have no idea what it is. Some of us have to work, so
I was going to say you're not going.
Nor would I go to that.
Well,
but that's.
I can picture you with getting pictures with Doc McStuffins for some reason. I picture I picture you being a big Doc McStuffins fan, just not telling anybody.
Both kids in my arm just eating cotton candy. I don't know. Mickey Mouse in New Jersey just seems a little odd to me. Yeah, that's odd. But let's jump right in. So on tonight's episode, Chris came up with a very interesting topic, and a topic that I think is going to be a little controversial, but maybe in a good way. We'll see what happens. You ever have friends come up to you and say, hey, I've got some tips about Disney. You're about to book that trip, and like, oh, before you book it, let me tell you a little story. We've all had that friend. Maybe you are that friend. Maybe you are one of the 1%ers out there that give good advice. But we've all had those people that give horrible advice. And we're going to kind of go through some of the things that Chris and myself have encountered over, our cumulative years of going to Disney. And, you guys chime in and let us know if you've had the same reaction of, or, comments, or what maybe you've had something outlandish come up. And also I would like to touch on, it's almost going to be a grind my gears throw in at the little bit, because I'm getting a little sick and tired of a couple things I hear or see when I'm in Disney, but I'll save that for the tail end. So Chris, did you have anything right off the bat that really perturbed you?
Well, kind of going off of what what you just said, I did not want this to be a grind my gears type of episode, because that's not the deal. So if you came thinking this was going to be a grind my gears type of episode, hold on, another grind my gears episode will be coming shortly. I guarantee it. And this is also, I need to make some clarifications here. This is also not an opinion type of show. And what I mean by that is that we really want to hit on the things that are genuinely pieces of bad advice, and also just things that are just flat out wrong that you hear around Disney. Because, there are things that people do differently. That's our motto. Everybody does Disney differently. And the interesting part to it is that, someone mentioned about, park hoppers, and his idea was park hoppers are a waste of money. That's the way he does Disney. And I respect that. For me, it's a little different. I've done it both ways. And for me, park hoppers are worth it because of how I do Disney. But so we're not talking about things that are differences of opinion. These are things that are just flat out wrong pieces of information. And, we are going to go through some of the wonderful pieces of wrong information that we got over at the WDW community page. And the funny part about it is that, I'm going to go off of what Julie mentioned. She's like, I just like it when someone says not to bring your children until they're older because, quote unquote, they won't remember. And she goes on by saying, I cherish the photographs myself as a baby. And throughout my trips to Disney, my mom, who passed in 2014, took us every year, and those memories I'll cherish forever. And, the thing of it is that it's just, I think it's bad information to flat out tell someone that they shouldn't do something. Because you don't necessarily know their particular situation. Great example, little kids, taking them, don't take them. You kind of have to make up your own mind. My son did 3 trips before he was 2. And partly because we planned on, already taking trips when my son was conceived, and we just flat out didn't change our plans. But, there are people that say you shouldn't do certain things. Well, let's also say, people will also say you should always do something, you should never do something, and you must do something. Those are usually characteristic of items that are usually opinionated, and and that's kind of problematic at best, because I think a lot of the problems that we have is we see too many opinion. I like what Christine just mentioned there. Hey, which Disneyland hotel should I stay at in Florida? I love it. That is absolutely fun. For those of you that may be here for the first time, I've never heard, Disneyland is in California. But here's the bigger thing. People don't realize in California, they have 2 parks. Disneyland is one park. Disney's California Adventure is the other park. And you're actually encompassing at the Disneyland Resort. And some people don't realize that Disneyland is a park, and it's not the Magic Kingdom. It is Disneyland. So that's one of the other things. I want to read off just a couple of these other great things that people brought up. Don't plan. It's just a wing it. It's a wing it type of vacation. Just don't plan. Now, Danny, I know you're the kind of, you say that you're not a planner, but deep down inside, you still have a plan.
Yeah, it's just a plan in my head, which is, a lot of empty space up there. So the plan kind of shifts around a little bit. No, it depends. The word plan is
subjective.
It's not the word I'm looking for.
It's subjective.
It's loose. It's one extreme to another. I mean, obviously I have a plan. I've got a flight. I've got a hotel, and I know where I'm going. What happens when I get there is different. And then you have the other extreme where, bathroom breaks are now on the list of when you can use the potty and when you can't, when you're eating, what you're eating, you have that soul extreme where either you're planning a lot, you're either in the middle, or you're me and you just know where you're going and you know how you're getting there.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is kind of the point I think was trying to be made. 10, 15 years ago, it was a lot easier to go to Walt Disney World and not necessarily have everything scheduled to the T. You know, you could go and walk up to Le Cellier and be able to get a seat for lunch. You used to be able to, you know, get the fast passes you wanted at a leisurely pace. You really didn't have to have, you know, fast passes for absolutely everything because crowds were also a lot easier. There was such a thing as a slow time, you know, things like that. And I think over the course of the past decade, and even so, I'll say the past 5 years, I personally think Disney is a place where you must plan. And I realize I just violated one of my own rules by saying must, but those who don't plan have not only a disadvantage, but they tend to be the people that voice opinions about how bad of a time they had. And that's what I don't get. It's like, you know, if you see people make comments about, you know, not planning, and you hear people say, you know, you probably should rethink that. Are you getting some bad advice from some others thinking you could just wing it? So
I've got one.
What's that?
And this is a tad bit. You know what? I'm not going to lie. This is a bit more grind my gear. When you're sitting on a plane and when you're in Spirit, all right, I'm going to give you my scenario because this has literally happened to me on multiple occasions.
And it must be a Spirit Airlines reference in there somewhere.
So I'm in the Atlantic City airport. I get on the plane. It's going to Orlando. Everybody, 90% of the people on that plane are going to Disney or they're going home. But I would say 90% are going to Disney. And you sit on the plane and no one knows who I am. So it's fine. I don't wear my behind the ears podcast stuff or nothing. So I'm sitting there. And on multiple occasions, I've heard people turn to me and go, yeah, you know, we're going to do Disney and we're going to do Universal. You know, I just made my Disney fast passes, but I can't find Harry Potter anywhere. You know, that's in a different part. Well, yeah, you know, I mean, can I walk just from like Magic Kingdom over to Universal? No. What do you mean? They're not owned by the same people. What do you mean? No, you can't. They're two separate things.
No. I got one along the same lines that I think you'll get a kick out of. Someone's basically said, and they were serious. I tell you right now, I think there was a level of seriousness with it. They basically said, I'm going to spend a couple days at Universal. Can I pay for my meals with Disney gift cards? And they were serious, like, you do realize it's another park. And then they said, well, someone told me, this is the part I love the most. Someone told me I can pay for stuff over there with a Disney gift card. And I had to walk away from the conversation because it was just like, you know, you have to stop and say to yourself, oh, wow, they are in for a series of disappointments, big time. And between that and the idea of, will Disney Transportation take me to Universal Studios? Or not, you know, will take me to Universal Studios. You know, it's like, and you know what the thing is? Here's the problem. There are people that will go ahead and answer, yes, they'll go ahead and take you.
Yes. And I'm just in the plane like, don't lose your cool, man. You don't need to be taken off this plane. Oh, all right. But I've got a real one now.
Okay.
I've had people, you know, we'll get into the whole rigmarole, you know, how do you go to Disney all the time? What are you doing? But that's not really what I'm trying to get at. I've had people come up to me and be like, hey, I know you're a Disney guy, but, you know, I'll tell you what, I was Disney with my family and the food was terrible. It was just burgers and chicken. That's all I had the entire time. The food in Disney's terrible. Don't eat in Disney. And I'm like, where'd you eat? You know, we ate at the hotel. So where'd you stay? Oh, All-Star. You didn't think about eating anywhere else? You didn't think about venturing out? I mean, there's like 20 some odd plus hotels, 4 theme parks. You ate every night in your cafeteria. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to have that much of an option. Not saying, and these hotels, even All Stars has more of an option just than chicken and burgers. They have their pizza and things like that.
But they actually have good, I'll say, more home cooked type meals there too. I mean, it's not just burgers and fries. And why is it we always get on the food bit? But that's absolutely true.
But that's just, I hate when people and I've heard them tell the people, oh no, you're not gonna, no, the food's there is terrible. You're gonna want to eat off property every day. Like, no. What was the last time you were in Disney? Like 1976? Like, come, they've upped their game a little bit in the food department. I'm just saying.
I think it goes along the lines of people saying, I'm going to eat off property all the time because I want to save money. And it's bad advice because you're going to be spending a lot of time in a car just to go and save a few dollars. And you're going to spend more time in a car going back and forth than you are, getting that value out of that money you saved, which was probably not all that much. I feel, I mean, that's a really piece of bad advice. If someone says, I want to do this to save money, and like, you know what, maybe you ought to change some of your plans in general, or figure out another way to save an extra $100 or so in order to budget for that. Because, people don't realize how big Walt Disney World is, the campus itself, the property itself. And to go off property, you're dealing with locals, you're dealing with people who are going to different parks, and
but there's nothing wrong going off property.
There's nothing wrong with going off property, but they're thinking that it's going to be a better value. That I think is actually just a bad piece of advice, but yeah, it's doable. I don't think it's a good use of your time.
But what was the statement that was made?
About what?
What was the staying off property statement?
Oh no, I'm saying there are people that are staying off property that are eating off property and stuff like that.
Well, the only way I'm eating off property if I'm staying off property is if I just left the park and got hungry. More than likely, I'm eating in the park, because even in and around the Orlando area, I wouldn't say you're seeing Disney prices, but you're seeing more than a little bit higher than you probably would if you go half hour outside. I mean, because I stay at the Rosen up on like past International, all that up there. And I mean, you can go get a burger for $8-9, which is, maybe a couple bucks more than you're used to at home, but it's still a few dollars cheaper than Disney. But I mean, that's anywhere you go. It's a tourist attraction. Everything's going to be priced higher.
Go ahead.
No, the biggest notion is when people will turn around, and I think when they tell people, don't go to Disney. Why would you do that? That $5,000 you can spend with your family, you can go somewhere else for way less and have way more fun. That's so subjective, because, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I could fly to Jamaica with a family of 4 for like $2,500. I'm sure you could. And with the right deals, right time of year, sure. But then, for me, I don't want to get stuck on a beach all day, and that's really all you have. Outdoor activities. Disney is so much more. And it kind of ties into oh, no, Disney's just for kids. If you don't have kids, it's awkward to go there. No, Disney literally hits every age bracket, because you're telling me Wine and Food Festival, or even Epcot's World Showcase in general, is not for kids.
Yeah.
It's definitely more geared. I mean, they have educational things for children, but it is definitely more geared towards the, young adults, actually, just adult period.
Oh, I would have to agree. And, the fact of the matter is, I think that's the biggest misconception. And the problem of it is that I think people come into Disney Facebook groups trying to find certain answers. And I think sometimes questions are just worded really poorly. And it's not because the person that's asking the question doesn't know how to write a question. They don't know where to begin. They don't know how to start. They don't know, really what they're talking about. And it shows. And unfortunately, there are a lot of groups out there that will show no mercy. And I'm not ripping on those groups, but it's like, I don't think it's fair to a person that's really trying to find out how to plan for their trip. And people are just not not understanding of the fact of, hey, everybody has to start on their first Disney trip. Good friend of mine, who I work with at my church, he and his wife and their little girl, he's like, yep, probably in a couple of years, we'd really like to be able to go to Disney and we'd need you to help us. I'm like, okay, it'd be great. He's like, I'll admit, I don't know where to begin. I don't even know what questions to ask. And he goes, I don't want to be steered in the wrong direction. And they want to do that first trip while their child is still, under 3.
Yeah.
They want to do that. And I think, there are a lot of people that say, the kids will not remember and stuff like that. I don't think it's a matter of not remembering. I think it's a matter of being instilled in a culture. And then I think that's a big thing. And, I know I kind of get made fun of, because I'm such a big Disney fan. You know what? Some people are big Blackhawks fans, and I'm glad that they love it, but this is me. Christine also mentioned on the WDW Facebook page or WDW community Facebook page. Don't forget to try the Beverly. It's delicious.
That's just funny. I'm glad when people say that.
I think so too. Funny. That's funny. It's bad advice. It's really bad advice. Actually, one of the funniest things I've heard that was just flat out wrong is when I was on DME coming into Walt Disney World from Orlando International Airport, and the bus driver's like, "Yeah, see what they're building over there? That's for a new monorail." No, not the monorail. and then people, of course, the rumors, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to consider rumors to be a part of this conversation, but when you hear so many people saying they're like, I heard it from a cast member, therefore it's got to be true. No, it's not. And sometimes cast members get the same information that we do at times.
They get a majority of your, I'm not going to call them low level, but entry-based positions that deal with the customers on a face-to-face basis. You know what the difference between their information and ours is? They get it 2 days earlier. I literally know cast members that will tell you, if you are on the friendly side with them, like, hey, we don't know anything. It's not like they're coming up like, psst, hey, listen, we're going to build a new hotel, but don't tell anybody. No, they know everything we know. Yeah, they know maybe a couple days in advance. They know how to prepare for those things, but at the end of the day, they know what you know.
Yeah, I mean, things like, what's another really good one? I love it when people talk about history of the parks that never existed. Like, Danny, did you know that, the monorail that goes into Epcot was supposed to go through the Swan and Dolphin? That's why there's these big black squares in the middle of them. Did you know that? Yeah.
I would just be like, yeah, cool story.
Sure.
See you later. Bye.
Cool story, bro.
No way. You're telling me.
No,
listen, and I mean, I've been surprised by people too. It's not a full bashing job. I've known people that actually gave great information.
Sure.
I mean, and there's been times people have said something like, wait a minute, what? And then I'll fact check them and be like, wow, they were right. And I didn't even know that, I mean,
hey, I was going to say, I always give credit where credit is due. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to say I'm wrong. I mean, hey, I don't have a problem being wrong. I mean, one time I was wrong. I thought I was wrong one time. I was just mistaken. But, it's just one of those things.
I'm always right. And even when I'm wrong, I'm right because I could have been right. Remember that.
Ooh, I like that.
What?
I like that.
Here's a tip for all of you. Well, for anybody who might fall prey to this. Just because the internet says something doesn't mean it's real. Do your fact check. Especially, I mean, listen, I'm not going to bash the site. We all know the site that I'm referring to. It's clickbait, man. That's how they get money for sponsors, because they get people to click on it. That's all it is. And then it's like playing the telephone game, because you have everybody just start sharing it because they read it once and, oh no, it's on Facebook. This must be real. No, guys, it's not. Listen, you look for your reliable sources, and you want to know when something's real when everybody is putting it out there. When you see all your favorite podcasts, bloggers, vloggers, Facebook pages, when everybody is reporting about the same thing, pretty sure you're 99% positive it's going to be right. When you just see one random site out there that everybody's just sharing, and just look at the bottom. right where the picture is, right below it, it tells you the website that it's from. It's very visible. And if you start looking at all these people, if you've got, say, 10 friends on your Facebook page and 5 of them all shared the same picture, look at that web address. Because if it's the same web address, that's not valuable. We're always sharing stuff out there. So just be careful. Just because, the internet says it's there, it's not really there.
Well, the biggest thing is that, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. If we're reading something that has loads of stipulation, speculation, and rumor, we'll tell you it's a rumor, unconfirmed, and we'll tell you flat out. If we know that it comes from a confirmed source or a very strong source, we're going to tell you. I don't have a problem with telling people that I don't think something is accurate. Have I been wrong? Yes, I have. And I'll be the first one to admit it. But I can tell you that with about 98% accuracy, Danny and I are not going to tell anybody anything that doesn't have a good sense of being true and accurate. That's the most part. Accurate. And, we are going to make mistakes once in a while. Guess what? So many people have done it. We'll be with some of the first ones that'll actually say, yeah, we screwed up. Sorry. We're human too. But, but it's like, it's kind of funny. Let's see. Albert was saying, I heard the monorail story through the Swan and Dolphin from a cast member that was driving the Friendship Express boat who made the announcement over PA as Disney trivia. It's fabled, but and the thing is, it's fun to hear stuff like that. But then people think I have Disney trivia and it's not accurate. Things such as that, or so many different stories about like Haunted Mansion and
well, there's a lot about Haunted Mansion that are actually very true.
Oh, there are some that are very true, but there are some that are very, very false.
Yeah.
That's one of the bigger things. All the different things when people swear that something is true. Walt Disney head is frozen somewhere because he's going to be brought back alive. Something like that. It's kind of like, come on, really? It's just really funny. Let me flip through. I wrote this one down, and I thought this was actually funny because I actually did get a reaction. I wrote down a few of them, like, don't go during hurricane season because it rains all the time. That was one of the things that I've heard bad advice. You know what? It's summertime, and let me tell you a little something about summertime in Florida. It rains all the time.
Yeah, but it's not the rain that you're probably used to in the Midwest or the Northeast. It'll pour for an hour and then stop. And it's always that mid-afternoon rain.
You can almost set your watch by it, to be honest with you. So I always go during hurricane season. Cast members can't say no, so they have to give you what you ask for. I've heard this tidbit of wrongness often. And
wait, repeat that?
Cast members can't say no, so they have to give you what you ask for.
So if I ask for $1 million, the cast member says no, they're going to write me $1 million. I'm trying it out.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's so wrong. It's not even funny. The fact of the matter is that, there's different ways of saying when something can't necessarily be done because it's, I'll say, impossible, or it's not feasible, or something to that extent. I think sometimes really what it comes down to is people think that, because Disney has a reputation of awesome guest satisfaction, that they will do anything and everything to make your trip what you want it to be. And then when it doesn't happen, people get disappointed. That's what I'm saying. That's a piece of bad information. I mean, it sets expectations up so high, so poorly. And it's kind of ridiculous.
See, that's a loaded statement because it really depends on the question you ask.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's still one of those generalized things that some people say. I've heard it myself.
Cast members can't say no.
Cast members can't say no. I've heard people say that. I'm like, of course they can.
I'm trying to think of like a realistic question that, like, so I'm trying to think of a realistic question you would ask a cast member where they have to say no, but they can't say no. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of what in God's name you would ask a cast member that you would get that you normally wouldn't get if it was just a normal person on like the street corner.
Well, one thing I can think of is things like, my daughter is a quarter inch too short to ride Kelly River Rapids.
Great example.
Can't she go? And a lot of times the answer would be, we look forward to having her come back when she is of the right height, which is a nice way of saying, no, she can't ride, but here, we're going to give you this little pass saying, hey, when you come back, when you're the right height, you can have basically a free fast pass. Or something
that's like going up to like a CM and being like, hey, listen, I know there's lightning outside and we shut down Big Thunder Mountain, but I've been waiting here all day. Do you mind if we just run it with me on it once? No, they would say no. There's plenty of, I'm literally, now they're just pouring in now that you said that,
Yeah. And actually, Chris also says their cast members can't say, I don't know. A very true statement. I've actually heard that one too. And to tell you the truth, in customer service in general, it's bad to say, I don't know.
But they're just saying it in a different way.
They're still saying it in a different way. In some cases, it's actually considered impolite to say, I don't know. Even in my industry, I'll say, you know what? Let me look into that for you. Yeah. So
yeah, that's the roundabout way of, hey, listen, dude, I don't know, I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, I like what Lynn said. I lost my souvenir. Can you replace it for free?
Well, depending on that, depending on what you lost.
But here's the thing: I've had refillable mugs swiped on me, and I'll go up, not intending anything for free. I'll go up and say, yeah, someone swiped my mugs, and I got to get a new set. They'll say, hey, just go ahead. Here, let me go ahead and activate them for you, blah, blah, blah.
See, that's where I was going in my head, was the souvenir cups. But I guess you can't come up and be like, hey, I just bought this awesome Casey's Corn Dog Nugget t-shirt. I left it in a bag and I can't find the bag.
I wanted to wear it now, or
yeah, like I don't think that's I don't know if you're gonna get that for free, but
it's just that there are some things that are just very difficult for cast members to be able to do because it's just not realistic. I mean, it ranks right up there with someone say, well, can't you stop the weather?
No.
Oh, come on. You can't tell me that you haven't heard someone make a comment, some ludicrous comment about making the weather stop, making the rain stop.
I've literally heard a million things like, oh my God, my vacation is ruined. I can't believe it. It rained. Lady, ma'am, guy, whatever, whoever said it to you. Dude, a rainy day in Disney is better than a sunny day at work.
Amen.
Listen, there's plenty to do. This is not all right. I'm gonna make this comment, and it's gonna come out for rude. So I'm sorry if you're fans of this genre. It's not like you're at Busch Gardens or Six Flags. There is plenty to do on Disney properties that is inside.
Yeah,
and very little shuts down at Disney in rain.
Usually, it's usually anything that's out that's has some component outside. I mean, that's really the bad thing. I mean, when you hear someone say, oh, my vacation has been ruined. Really? Has it been ruined? I mean, that's not Disney's fault that a huge thunderstorm came through and stopped Test Track. Not to mention, have you ever done Test Track when it starts raining?
No, but it probably feels like rocks on your face.
I can tell you that is basically about it. You don't want to be on Test Track when it's raining because once you hit 65 miles an hour and you've got drops of water pelting you in the forehead, oh my gosh! There's a reason why we have windshields on cars and a roof and type of thing. And it was like it hurts. It hurt. And actually, what was funny is that I have a friend of mine that's like 6'8". And he was on Test Track, and it started raining right before they got onto the high speed loop. And because his head was already, somewhat above the windshield line itself, he had zero protection, and he was just getting pelted.
He just gets off the ride. He's just got a red line across his forehead. Gosh!
He's like, dude, that was the worst. He goes, it was awesome, but I wouldn't want to. But I wouldn't want to do it again because it just hurt like hell. And so,
that's so funny.
it's it's pretty ridiculous. Another one I want to keep on hearing is, sure, you can use any of the resort pools. I'm
Yeah,
staying
just walk in.
I'm staying at All Star Music. I'm going to go use the pool over at the Grand Floridian. Thanks for playing. And
Good luck.
and before somebody who's a DVC member says there are pool hopping privileges, I'm not talking about DVC members. So just gotta go throw that out there. Oh, come on. You're just jealous and you know it.
I am.
So
I'm trying to think if there's really. I don't really think there's any other ones.
well, I will say this. Aaron Del Prince, you mentioned book a club level room and then book the deluxe dining plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, go ahead and you can get snacks and food and stuff like that and drinks over with your concierge level room, and then basically have a dining plan that gives you carte blanche pretty much 3 meals a day.
Hey, if you can afford it, God bless you.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, but at the same time, I think you need your stretchy pants, as you have put it in the past. Got to have your stretchy pants. All I know is that if I had the deluxe dining plan, I'd be like going to places that would like totally and completely just top notch everything all the time. That's what I would do.
Oh yeah, when I was on vacation with everybody whenever we were there, February, every time we sat down, I'm like, you guys better be getting the most expensive thing on the menu. Like, do not go and get a cheeseburger. What are you doing? Like, I'd be getting that 20 ounce T-bone steak.
Oh, serious. Oh, wait. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. What Jerusha mentioned here. I was told that monorails are only for people at deluxe resorts once. Yeah. Talk about totally incorrect. Or the fact that you have to be a resort guest in order to use any of the transportation. I just think that was, those are also pieces of information that was like, where did you get that? It's like, no, that is absolutely incorrect. It's bad. It's just bad when some people just, utilize, who's in front of them as a way of just passing along bad information. It's really cool. Oh, well, Chris also mentions he loves picking up cast members with Uber because you hear some real good stories from them after they get done with work.
I'm sure you do.
I bet, man. I bet.
Sure you do.
I'm kind of going through some of the, list here, and here's the thing. Here's really what it comes down to. I think what Danny and I don't want to see is to have people get bad planning advice. And yeah, there is a difference between opinions or options and just things that are just bad pieces of advice. And, one of the things that we're trying to do here is to, pretty much part of what we do is not only the entertainment part, but we also try to help with trip planning. And we want to make sure that we help you separate the junk from the good stuff. And the nice part about Danny and I is that we do have different ways of looking at things. We come from different backgrounds, different Disney experiences, different group experiences, different family experiences. And you'll hear us disagree on some things, but it's because of how it fits within our group. So that's just one of the things that we wanted to, kind of share this, have a little laugh at. And so with that said, I'm going to switch gears here to what Danny wanted to do earlier, because it was part of, as he said, this is not a grind my gears episode, but he kind of had something in the back of his head that could be grind my gears-ish. So, Danny, I'm going to yield the mic to you. I'd like to hear what you have to say about this, my friend. Oh, he's thinking. He's stroking the beard.
You got to word this very carefully because I'm really it's a mixed bag here, because every time you're on a monorail and you're passing the Grand Floridian, what do you hear?
Say that one more time.
So you're on the monorail and you're
Yes.
passing the Grand Floridian.
Yes.
What do you think you always hear? You hear a mixed bag of things. You'll hear, oh boy, that tragedy happened there. Fair enough. But then you have the people who turn around and go, see, got to put a fence up now because people go in the water. Then you have people say that, hey, look, there's an alligator. You're in Florida. Listen, Disney's doing what they did best. It was a tragic, tragic situation. But at the same time, you don't need to point it out, because now
I
I've
see
literally
what you're
seen
saying.
guests freak other guests out
Oh,
by doing this.
I catch your drift. And you're right. I totally get what you're getting at. Go ahead and continue. I'll pause here. Go ahead. But you're making a big point.
I don't want to come off sounding insensitive. It was an absolutely tragic situation, and
Sure.
I'm not saying like, hey, let's just move past it and not talk it. But there's a time and place, and especially when there's little kids on that monorail, adults don't need to be talking about that loudly. Whether you wanted to explain to your kids what happened, that's your parenting style, but your parenting style might not be the person sitting across from you's parenting style. That's all I'm saying. Is just be mindful. That's basically what is going to tear into this, is be mindful of your surroundings. Listen, me and Chris do a very clean show here. It's family rated. It's probably PG, maybe even G rated half the time. I'll say PG. Me not live in front of you is a completely different persona. I'm the same person, but I use more adult, colorful language. Know your audience is what I'm saying. When you're in Disney, you've got a lot of kids running around. You've got a lot of people who might not be in that. I'm born and raised in a trucking industry. To me, I'm like a sailor. But I get it. When I'm in that environment, when I'm in my warehouse, I talk a certain way. When I'm in front of customers, I talk a different way. When I'm in front of you guys, I talk a different way. Know your audience, because as someone who might use the colorful language at times, I wouldn't, if I don't subject my children to it, I don't want you subjecting them to it. That's all I'm saying.
But, it's something else, though. I mean, people on our feed here have been kind of, basically getting at what we've been getting at. You don't necessarily have to point out every type of problem or tragedy that has happened at Disney. Yes, there have been things that have happened. Yes, they have been very tragic. Yes, they have been accidents. Stuff happens, but you don't have to basically, you don't have to bring it up in front of others that may not understand the whole story. You may have an understanding. And that's something that I think it makes a real big deal out of it. I mean, here's a great example. Using the example of the Grand Floridian, I was there last summer. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the 1-year anniversary of the incident that happened. Mm-hmm. And they were already in the process of, planning out the memorial. And I haven't seen the memorial yet because it happened right after.
I would say they opened it like a couple days after we left.
Yeah, it was very, very soon. But someone put a small pot of flowers on what is the fire pit, and it was kind of over by the pool. And I paused and I reflected at that sort of thing. And yes, we're getting a little serious here for a second. I paused and I reflected, and I say, you know what? This is obviously a tragic day for Disney, the Disney community, and more so, of course, without a doubt, that particular family. And the thing of it is that we don't need to accidentally use the Disney knowledge that we have. That, because a lot of us know some of the bad things that have happened at Disney, and we don't need to pass that on. You can always remember, or you can never forget, one of the two, but you don't have to tell everybody about it. Keep the magic magical. If you want to talk about it amongst your family, do it outside of earshot. It's always good to remember some of those things, but I don't want to ruin the magic for anybody, and they don't need to hear about the tragedy. And so, I hope people understand what we say when we get that. And it is kind of a grind my gears type of thing. It is kind of a bad advice type of scenario. I wouldn't want to hear about that sort of thing, because you know what? how many times have you heard or read, you know, something about even something as simple as bugs in a room, and you say, well, that's it, I'm never staying on site. You see someone say that. You know, there are probably people that change their minds over things because of the wildlife situation. Fine.
It's Florida.
But it's Florida. The thing of it is that there are just some things you don't have to talk about. If you had a bad experience, my whole take on it is have enough gumption to go and talk to somebody about it. You know, yeah, you have a bug in your room or something, or some, you know, some bugs in your room. And, you know, it happens. I travel a lot. I travel tons and tons and tons. Every once in a while, I'll run into a room that isn't necessarily perfect. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, I talk to somebody about it. It gets taken care of. I don't look for anything for free, but it gets taken care of because that's all I want. I want a clean room. Most people realize, oh crap, you know what? Crap happens. And so, but when you say things in such a way where it takes magic out of it for people, then you got to stop and say to yourself, why did you say it in the first place? Are you trying to make a point, or, you know, are you trying to make a point that something bad happened? And, you know, again, I'm really not trying to sound super critical. What I am really trying to say is keep the magic alive for others, and it will come alive for you too. That's the big thing.
It really depends on the situation.
It does.
Listen, you know, I don't travel as much as Chris, but in the more recent past, there was a point I was traveling every other weekend, whether, you know, it's just around the country. And I've had some bad experiences. I've got a platform. I literally have a soapbox that I'm on right now. I can come complain to all of you.
It's not because you're short, is it?
No, no, I'm 6'1".
I'm just kidding.
But with that said, I mean, you know, once again, it's like almost knowing your audience. There's no need to blast it out now. But if it was horrendous, it would be. I stayed at a hotel in Fort Lauderdale, and I killed them on Yelp.
Oh,
because
I remember that.
They were horrendous. But I mean, listen, when I'm in Florida, I have certain expectations. You know what? If there's a stink bug in my room, I'm not freaking out. If there's ants in my room, I'm just seeing where they're coming from because there might be food in the room. If there's a snake in my room, you know, or in my boot.
I was just going to say, there's a snake in my boot.
You know, that's different. You know, I mean, listen, daddy long legs are just a thing. If there's a lizard, it's Florida. If you have a boa constrictor wrapped up in your bed, maybe, all right, you might want to warn people about that possible boa constrictor in the bed. But besides that, like, I don't know. You know, like, I've had so many people tell me, it's so disgusting. Someone left their food in my room in the fridge. Just either just be an adult and throw it out yourself, or contact the housekeeper. I shouldn't say maids, the housekeeper, and they'll take care of it. It's not the end of the world. And just remember, when you call the front desk, you're like, I need more towels. I ran out of soap. And it takes them a half hour, 40 minutes to get to. You're not the only person in the hotel. There's hundreds of families in there. They're coming. Well, granted, I mean, there's a time limit. There is that line. If you call and 3 hours later they're still not there, okay, I get it.
I was going to joke around and say something. You know, if it takes them 20 minutes to come to get you some extra soap or towels or stuff like that, I always think, how long does it take you to walk from the bus station in the first place? Yeah. But, you know, overall, I think actually, Danny, you bring up a good point. The whole knowing your audience bit. I mean, regardless if you're on a monorail, boat, bus, or soon to be gondola, you know, the fact of the matter is, I love
it. Gondola or gondola?
Here we go again. No, I don't know. It's potato. It's potato. I don't know. But here's my take. You have a chance to be magical to everybody else that's around. What? You're chuckling.
The one time I don't proofread a message and I throw it up there, it was just hilarious. So please keep going.
Don't worry about it. I think I see what you're saying.
I would have died. I would have been mad. I would have laughed so hard. God bless you. Sweating. Really sweating from laughing.
Okay. To our podcast listeners, we apologize, and we hope that for some reason our laughter is contagious. And now, wherever you're listening, you're laughing for no apparent reason because you didn't see that. I don't even know what it's going to say, but now I do. Okay. Regardless of your form of transportation, of where, whatever you're going to ride, you have a chance to really make it magical. Be magical for the families that are around you. And, watch your tongue, watch your words, watch what you say. You can really make a big difference. Try to stay away from passing around bad information, and, do what you can to really plus a family's vacation. I think it makes it worthwhile. We can be the positive change that the guest experience needs. And we all have the power to be able to do that. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to, get us all hyped up and rah, let's go do this type of thing. I think it just makes sense. I think that we really need to do that, pass around good information, verified information. Maybe you could say, hey, Uncle Danny and Mr. Chris said this, and I know that they check things out. So it's just one of those things that I would probably have to say about that. But I do think it's one of those things that's serious. Hey, listen, I'm kind of like Uncle Danny. I sometimes am the colorful metaphor type. Lately I've been watching my tongue, and even when I work on cars and stuff like that, I tend to tell people, just know that when I'm around a car and a wrench in my hand, I may get colorful in my metaphors. And I'm trying not to do that. Sometimes, you hear it said around kids and stuff like that. I don't want my kids to hear it. Yes, my kids hear it all the time. They don't need to hear it from somebody else. That's just my 2 cents. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Well, I think we should wrap that up. You heard the show, and we hope you want more. Well, feel free to join us over at our social media platforms. Instagram and our Facebook page can be found at Behind the Ears Podcast. Our webpage is behindtheearspodcast.net, and our email is behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @BehindTheEarsPC. And come and join the conversation about all things Disney over at the WDW community page. Don't forget to rate and review the show over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us get the word out about the show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or the Podbean app. Also, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and via Alexa and Google Home.
With that said, everybody, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. We had an absolute blast with everybody tonight. We hope you all had a wonderful time yourselves. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Don't forget, drink that cranberry juice, tuck your kids in tight, and I guess for this podcast, make sure you flush the toilet. I am Uncle Danny, and I am signing out.
Wow. Every once in a while, Uncle Danny just says something, and I don't know how to even do my exit other than saying, thanks, everybody. So glad to have you guys here. We love you, and we're so glad that you support us. Thank you so much. By all means, we hope to hear from you again soon, and we will talk to you next week. Have a magical day. Take care.